starship on the bottom of the ocean. We've been doing here since last night. The salt water's gonna rule the sea.
Where's Spock?
Still in the volcano, sir.
Captain on the bridge!
Lieutenant, we have an open channel, Mr. Spock.
The heat's frying his comms, but we still have contact.
Spock!
I have activated the device, Captain. When the countdown is complete, the reaction should render the volcano inert.
Yeah, and that's gonna render him inert.
Should we have use of the transporters?
Negative,
Not with these magnetic fields.
I need to beam Spock back to the ship. Give me one way to do it.
Maybe if we had a direct line of sight, if you
Hold
got
on,
closer.
wee man. You're talking about an active volcano, sir. If that thing erupts, I can't guarantee we can withstand the heat.
I don't know that we can maintain that kind of altitude.
Our shuttle was concealed by the ash cloud, but the Enterprise is too large. If utilized in a rescue effort, it would be revealed to the indigenous species.
Spock, nobody knows the rules better than you, but there has got to be an exception.
None. Such action violates the Prime Directive.
Shut up, Spock. We're trying to save you, damn it.
Doctor, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Spock, we're talking about your life!
The rule cannot be broken.
Spock! Try to get him back online.
90 seconds to detonations.
Spock over here and I were there. What would he do?
He'd let you die.
In Star Trek, both the original series and the newly created movies, Captain Kirk is a human full of emotions, who has executive power over the Starship Enterprise. His first officer, Spock, is a stoic Vulcan who values logic and reason. Both these characters have different views on what ways of knowing to use when making decisions. This brings up a question. To what extent should emotion and reason be used to justify decisions? We actually mean a lot of different things when we refer to reason. It is the way in which we try to make sense of the world using logic, rationality, associations, judgment, and experience, although it's used in a lot of different ways. Emotion is a strong feeling whose source is mysterious, and its effect varies in terms of nature and duration. To be able to answer this question, we should first set a goal or what we want when making the decision. If we are trying to satisfy our desires through our decisions, reason should be used as a framework in order to maximize our chances of satisfying our desires. This principle, however, seems to completely ignore emotions. It is evidenced that emotions lead us to act in a way that is not dictated by reason, therefore being simple with intuition. Through this premise, then, emotions can be justified only if they are considered a desire or causes a desire. Most of them, nonetheless, are short-term, and it makes sense to conclude that it is not the best to act upon emotions. Here, Spock acts upon the principle of reason, or as he likes to call it, logic. He is never influenced by emotions, as he is from Vulcan, where humanoids have no feelings. This leads to a second question. Does culture affect the preference between reason and emotion? There are numerous cultures or beliefs which are bound to emotions. One of them is the Chinese notion of sad love, described as the sadness as a result of love. Therefore, emotions kind of depend on a social consciousness, as emotions, such as shame, seem to bring with it the notion of what is right or not. Many human sciences scholars believe that emotions are not only able to help people understand cultural experiences and behaviors, but also the source of social, political, and ethical knowledge, which aid in one's awareness and perception of the world. Reason is creating a conclusion from premises, sometimes using inferences or experiences. It then is necessary to have cultural knowledge in order to perform the process of rationality, being therefore grounded in culture. Areas of knowledge might set their own requirements for the types of reasonings that are accepted. Ethics is the sense of what is right or wrong and the decision to act accordingly. This concept plays a major role in the decision the captain has to make. If he were to save the life of his first officer, he would be violating the Prime Directive, which prohibits Starfleet personnel from interfering with the internal development of alien civilizations. If he were to let Spock die, he would act upon the principles of the Prime Directive, but would essentially kill one of his friends and co-workers. Ethics is generally concerned with answering the question, what should one do? In this case, saving Spock and breaking the rules, or let Spock die but still follow the rules. The moral standards implied in this decision are all parts of ethics. Coming back to the choice between emotion and reason, it is easy to see the theoretical advantages of being Spock, but it still seems normal that most people would rather be Kirk. Captain Kirk is obviously more likely to be influenced by emotions, and certainly also more fallible, but nevertheless, he seems to enjoy life more. While we might have more admiration towards Spock's brain, if we had to choose, we would sensibly choose Kirk's heart. It is important to note that Kirk isn't perfect either. Like all humans, he commits mistakes. Ideally, it would be best to feel emotions like Kirk, but make choices as good as those made by Spock. Oddly, this contradicts my previous claim, as I have advocated in favor of reason. So how can I justify a preference for Kirk over Spock? Well, the goal set in the beginning of my presentation was to best maximize the total satisfaction with life over its entire extent. But satisfaction itself is a kind of emotion. Therefore, it is easy to conclude that we cannot make a decision without using emotion, as what defines a good or bad decision are emotions themselves.